Because horror often deals with mystery, secrets, and of course, masked serial killers, it's no surprise why the genre itself is filled with plot twists. Like, seriously, it's kinda weird when a scary movie these days doesn't end with a gotcha moment. Although this technique can of course be quite gimmicky, you just can't deny how impactful it is when the rug is pulled from underneath us. And for some movies, it's actually so well executed that it kinda saves the whole thing. So with that in mind, I'm Josh from What Culture Horror, and these are awesome plot twists that totally saved awful horror movies. Don't Hang Up. Don't Hang Up follows Sam and Brady, a pair of teens who make YouTube videos where they prank call people. During one prank, they convince a caller, Mrs. Colbean, that an intruder is in her house, and when this prank goes viral, the channel blows up in popularity. One day, a man called Lee rings Sam and Brady though, informing him that he'll destroy their lives unless they do as he asks. He then performs his own pranks, which mostly involve killing the YouTuber's friends, which I don't think those are pranks, my guy. Anyway, because Lee comes across as a textbook wacko, it's easy to assume that there's just no rhyme or reason to his actions. But when Sam encounters Lee in the climax, he discovers that he's not quite the monster that he thought he was. See, Lee explains how the call Sam made to Mrs. Colbean, who's implied to be his wife in the movie, ended in total tragedy. Before she realized the call was just a gag, she shot the supposed intruder, unaware that it was actually just her daughter. Left devastated that she killed her own child, Colbean then blew her own brains out. Because Sam and Brady suffered no punishment for their actions, Lee was compelled to take matters into his own hands. My Little Eye. My Little Eye centers around a Big Brother-like reality show where 5 contestants must stay in a live-streamed house for 6 months. If the group don't leave for 6 months, they'll walk away with $1 million, but if one of them leaves before the time is up, they receive nothing. As the deadline approaches, things suddenly take a sinister turn in the house, as one day the participants receive a gun with 5 bullets in the mail, and they stumble upon a passerby who claims that he's never heard of the competition that they're supposedly taking part in, even though the group thought that it was live streamed apparently across the globe. Finally, when one member of the group is found hanging from the ceiling, they finally decide that they've had enough with this whole experiment. As such, one participant, Rex, hacks a computer to discover the truth behind the contest that they're involved in. To his horror, he learns that he and his party are not actually in a reality TV show, they're actually in a snuff film. Whatever your thoughts were on My Little Eye up until this point, you're sure going to feel a tingle down your spine when you learn why the so-called contestants are really there to begin with. Saw 3D. Saw 3D, the final chapter, is arguably the worst entry in the whole series. The gore lacks innovation, the flashbacks within flashbacks by this point are just lazy, and the 3D gimmick is, well, gimmicky, with it overall being a pretty flat finale to a huge series. Or at least it was for the time. However, it isn't a complete write-off, as just as it looks like the movie is totally out of steam, Saw 3D pulls out one last trick. Now, since Saw 2, it's been theorized that Jigsaw had a secret apprentice assisting him from behind the scenes. And in Saw 3D's climax, it's revealed that this apprentice is none other than Lawrence Gordon, the main character from the original Saw, who you might have last seen chopping his own foot off. Now, not only was this a nice way to tie the sequel to the original flick, but it also just gave viewers exactly what they wanted. Dr. Gordon being an apprentice was theorized for years, and it was a shame that it wasn't executed better, but still, this reveal did save the film from being the straight worst in the series. The Uninvited. The Uninvited opens with teenager Anna trying to take her own life after her mother perishes in a fire. In fact, she's left so traumatized by these events that she can't remember the exact events surrounding her mom's passing when she comes to. When Anna returns home and reunites with her sister Alex, she also discovers that her father is going out with someone called Rachel Summers, who is actually her mother's nurse. And when Anna starts having visions of the fire, Alex convinces her sister that Rachel is the one who murdered their mother. After we go through the rigmarole we've come to expect from a mystery horror flick like this, Anna and Alex seem to exact their revenge when they kill Rachel. But when Anna's father sees the body, he reveals that Rachel didn't kill their mother at all. Anna did. When Anna caught her dad cheating on her mother with Rachel, she flew into a rage and started a fire. The blaze flew out of control, causing not just the death of Anna's mother, but also her sister Alex. Even though the Uninvited isn't as suspenseful or as scary as it should be, this revelation throws you for a loop, since you should have noticed that no character actually ever speaks to Alex apart from Anna. Orphan First Kill. Orphan First Kill was rightly lauded for being a pleasant surprise, but for the first act or so watching the movie, you might actually be wondering what all the fuss is about. Sure, the flick has some decent kills straight away, but it seems kinda pedestrian, as we follow the villain of the first movie, Esther, as she assumes the identity of another missing child, integrates into a new family dynamic, becomes obsessed with the father, and, you assume, ultimately attempts to kill them all and slip away. However, Orphan First Kill brilliantly subverts expectations by revealing halfway through that this family is just as rotten as Esther. See, the villain realizes that the mother and brother of the family have both been aware that she's a fake ever since she showed up on their doorstep, and that's because their missing daughter isn't missing at all, she's dead. She was in fact killed by her own brother, and the mother helped him cover it up, all the while spinning a story about her disappearance. And this revelation changes everything, as the trio of characters then try to keep up their respective acts to predictably bloody results. Would you rather? Now, this flick, which has a better premise than execution, revolves around Iris, a woman who takes part in a lethal version of Would You Rather to save her terminally ill brother Rayleigh. Even though Iris is at heart a decent person, she's forced to batter, stab, and shoot other contestants to stand a chance of helping her sibling. Despite its intriguing premise though, Would You Rather is very bare bones at heart. Although we should be jumping out of our skin while watching this contest, it never feels all that compelling. To the movie's credit though, it does nail the ending. See, when Iris emerges triumphant, her benefactor gives her enough money to pay off her debts and have her brother treated. The benefactor is also nice enough to find Rayleigh a donor so the treatment can start immediately. But when Iris returns home, she discovers that Rayleigh has already taken his own life to avoid burdening his family with medical bills. Iris then of course is left utterly destroyed as she acknowledges that she went through all of this grisly content for nothing. So yeah, while the meat of Would You Rather isn't all that juicy, you can taste the anguish that Iris is experiencing in that devastating final shot. Dead Silence. In Dead Silence, Jamie becomes obsessed with a ventriloquist dummy after he receives it hours before his wife is murdered. After speaking to his wheelchair-bound father Edward, Jamie learns his bloodline is being targeted by the ghost of a killer ventriloquist called Mary Shaw. And yeah, before you ask, Dead Silence is exactly as ridiculous as it sounds, but in its final 90 seconds, it does hit you with the best kind of twist. See, after Jamie believes that he has defeated Mary's spirit, he returns to his family home, and as he approaches his father, Edward suddenly slumps forward, revealing that his spinal cord has been replaced with a massive ventriloquist pole. Through flashbacks, we then learned that Mary was actually possessing Edward's wife Ella, and she'd been using her ventriloquism skills to control Jamie's dead father like a puppet. Speaking through Edward, Mary was able to manipulate Jamie without him noticing. She straight up Weekend at Bernie's the guy. What makes this twist work so well is how you should have seen it coming as well, as there are so many tantalizing hints throughout the film that you might not have noticed the first time through and definitely demand a second watch. So yeah, no matter how bad you might think Dead Silence is up until the closing moments, you will feel like this ending more than redeems the entire movie. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, say what you want about James Wan, but the guy knows how to pull a nutso twist out of nowhere.